Hello, everyone. I am super excited to do a webinar with my friend Santosh here on resiliency, a question that often comes up by customers. My name is Syed. I lead the SE team globally at Alkira, and I'll let Santosh also introduce himself, and then we'll get right into it.
Hi, I'm Santosh. I lead the platform and operations at Alkira. My team
Awesome.
mainly focus on building the platform that developers at Alkira can use to deploy their services.
Awesome. So, Santosh, what I think will work best is if we can share, well, let's share a topology with our audience on what we're going to show them from a resiliency standpoint. And we'll show them also our platform. And we'll do some actual live failover testing with everyone across multiple regions. And then we'll also want to hear from you specifically on how you built this whole secret sauce. How about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like as you go through the demo, we can talk about some of the technical details as to how things are done in the background so that people get a glimpse of what's cooking and what's brewing at Alkira or how things are brewed at Alkira.
Awesome, awesome. So specifically, what I'm going to do is let's take a look at what we're going to share. I'm going to
Yeah.
actually minimize all of this for everybody, or as a matter of fact, I'm going to bring it back up. Sorry about that. So Alkira is a network as a service platform that is we're doing to networking with cloud providers to do compute and storage. So customers can build a global network with from the centralized SaaS portal without having to deploy any hardware or any software. So one of the first thing that a customer does when they have this centralized portal is they deploy these exchange points. These cloud exchange points are deployed globally around the world, and they can be deployed on top of hyperscaler cloud providers. And it doesn't have to be a single hyperscaler cloud provider. So what we're seeing here is under a single tenant of portal. So for example, customer abc.com is going to build a CXP in AWS. They can deploy a region there and then deploy CXP in GCP in US Central. And what we're looking at here is this use case of resiliency from a New York data center, a client accessing an application in AWS and GCP, App A and App B. So what we specifically would like to show here is how this client is able to access these resources and withstand multiple levels of failure. So what I want to show here in our environment is we want to show what we have set up actually specifically is we have active connectivity going between from this New York data center to two different availability zones within the CXP. So think of them as two different data centers and they're active. So traffic will actually ECMP across both these availability zones. And it's also active BGP sessions peers between the US Central CXP as well. But it's standby just from a routing preference standpoint. So we're using AS prepend to make this region less preferred for this new data center and make this data center, make the CXP in US East the primary. As far as my resources in the cloud that we're demonstrating here in AWS and GCP, App A and App B are primarily connected into this US East 2 region, but they will use the US Central region as a DR failover. So in case an entire region goes down, my application is up, my New York data center can still access the applications. Did I
Yeah.
do a good job explaining that, Santosh?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Perfect. Absolutely. No, I think if you think of it, right, this picture is so powerful. Picture itself is so powerful. You are showing two different clouds, and you're talking about things failing within the cloud and across the cloud. And you are saying the application would just work with things failing within the cloud as well as across the cloud. Like that's a powerful statement, and I'm looking forward to the demo. Now, in order for this to happen, even at Alkira, when we were building the platform, we had to think about this, right? Like this could actually happen in real world. I mean, we are going to demo that, but this could actually happen in the real world. That means if availability zone is gone or not available in one of the clouds for whatever reason, the other availability zone should continue to operate and the end customer's application should continue to operate, right? And then if the whole region is blacked out, or it's not available, which unfortunately has happened, there should be another way for the customer's application to continue to operate, and our infrastructure should be able to support that. So these were definitely some of the things that we had considered when we built this application. This was one of the primary design goals when we started Alkira.
Yes. Imagine a customer can become their own service provider, right?
Yep.
So the
Yep.
networking teams can now turn into a service provider providing connectivity with immense amount of control that they haven't had before, right? With being able to say, okay, I'm going to deploy a POP in one service provider, and I'm going to deploy another one in a completely different service provider. My network policies and constructs are going to stay exactly the same, and then I'll
Exactly.
provide my connectivity
Yes.
to my applications. So the fact that we're showing here, this CXP is running in AWS, this CXP is running in GCP, are to be transparent, but for all intensive purposes, this is considered as Alkira's cloud, right?
Yep.
So from a customer
Yep.
standpoint, they can run it in the same CSP, multiple CSPs, but that flexibility is with the customer as the core part.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So constructs are same. Doesn't matter which cloud you pick. One pane of glass. Same thing applies to all the POPs or CXPs. Yeah. Standardized across multiple regions, multiple cloud providers. It's an extremely powerful solution with so many options to do um, build redundancy and resiliency into your network.
yeah, exactly. So now this is the point where everyone's wondering, well, these guys can just show me some out diagram, or is this actually real? And
Yeah.
I can show an actual environment. So let me move over. And this
While
is,
you bring that up,
yeah,
Syed, it's not just that. Things are happening, right? DRs, usually the cloud providers failing is a rare event. There are failures, but they are point in time, very pointed failures. Like sometimes maybe one of the services in the cloud fail, but we have seen now the entire regions failing. So this has actually, every enterprise should actually now seriously consider resiliency across regions and also across cloud providers because we have actually seen that, unfortunately.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I can give you an example of unfortunate events actually happening with a customer of mine who has a region in Dubai, and
Yep.
AWS is impacted there with the recent wars. Unfortunately, they've since their CXPs were deployed in AWS in that region for their partners, they had to quickly move because they had Alkira. They were able to quickly move off,
Yeah.
keep the partner connectivity up and move to a different region. No changing of network configuration, network policies, security policies, all stayed intact and same.
Intact. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what happened. Yeah, we can talk a little bit more about the use case, but why don't we dive into the demo and
Yes.
take it
So
forward?
for our viewers who may be seeing this for the first time, this is what our portal looks like. So when Alkira customers use a Alkira service, they'll get a unique URL. From there, the main page they're taken to after they've provisioned their environment is a dashboard which shows them the health of the environment. But I'm gonna jump into this network section, which shows for this environment that I'm logged into, which is our test environment, I have 3 global regions. I'm going to focus in specifically on US East and the US Central region. And specifically, the demo that we're going to be doing is this resiliency demo, which is going to be on one of the segments that we're going to focus on for this particular demo that we're doing. Now, just like with the diagram that I had brought up, we are seeing a CXP and deployed in US East 1. From a user standpoint, there's 4 things you can do. You can connect to on-prem resources. You can deploy network services inside of the CXP, and you can connect to your cloud resources and have multiple VRF segments. So in this case, as the diagram was depicting, we have a data center, and the data center is actually connecting into this US East 2 CXP, and it's showing a single line, but these are actually 2 connections back. If I actually can click on, you'll see I have 2 tunnels connecting in from an endpoint. So from a data center, it's actually coming in, connecting into 2 different endpoints on the CSPs, which is connecting to two different availability zones. So if tunnel 1 is down, that means its connectivity to availability zone 1 is down. If tunnel 2 is down, means connectivity to both availability zone is down. So in the case of this data center, both of the AZs would have to be down for connectivity to be lost from this data center node. So what we'll do for the purposes of this demo for our viewers, Santosh, is we're going to just first take down one of the connectivity. So I'll go ahead and so give me a second while we do that, and we'll see that connectivity being taken down in this portal actually live. This, what we're expecting is it'll turn from green to yellow, showing its actual connectivity.
Yeah, absolutely. So like if you're able to open the tunnel page back up, I could talk a little bit more about what actually this translates into an Alkira infrastructure, right? So in every region, every cloud region, we do deploy our data plane. We have a massive data plane that's running across clouds and across availability zone in each of the regions and each of the clouds. So these tunnels are going into appropriate availability zones in our platform, and there is a routing plane that is running across the availability zones that is constantly looking for changes and keeping an eye on which tunnels are up, which tunnels are down, probing stuff, looking at several other metrics, and finally making an intelligent decision in and detecting that, okay, this particular event has occurred and this particular tunnel has gone down and starts rerouting traffic automatically, right? So that's the secret sauce, that kind of thing that we built in house, where both availability zones are active by all the time, and the moment any event is detected, or by the moment we start noticing that the metrics are coming saying, hey, we notice a degradation or we notice a failure event, we start rerouting the traffic, right? Now you see that it has turned to yellow, and it's saying it's partial and the tunnel has gone down. So in this particular case, I am assuming you have actually taken down a link on the other side, and not actually things haven't failed anything on our Alkira side, right? Yeah.
Exactly, Santosh. This has just simulated a single availability zone.
Yes.
So if a user logs in, he's looking, you can see, okay, well, this is in partial state. One of the connectivity is down, right? And you can see that both IPsec and BGP is down here. However, I'm still going to be learning my routes that I was learning, right? So from that is still there and healthy because I have the second easy up. I'm going to go back to that view here. So that's the connectivity is up. And I'm also going to show quickly traffic that's flowing.
Yeah.
I'll look at flow capture. And if people remember the topology, the source that the client was on was 1030.0.4 and is actually just sending traffic to 1010.0.22 and 1020.2, right?
Yeah.
And both traffic is still flowing without being impacted, even in partial. So now what we're going to do, right? We're going to do, remember in the original topology that we showed, we had this New York data center connected to two regions, not just one region. So it's not just connected to USC, it's actually connected also to US Central GCP CXP. So here's your data center and the same data center, and it's connected, and the health you can see is up. Both connectivity is up, right? Both of the tunnels are up on them, and we're also learning the prefixes. You can see the prefixes 1030/16 is being learned. And if I come back to here, so my expectation is that even though when I'm going to go into USCs 2 and both availability zones are going to go down, the traffic should still continue to flow and hit the application app A and app B in a different region.
Yep.
So I'll
go ahead
and do that real quick.
Yeah. Yes. And you see how the state has changed and the UI, right? That is what I was talking about when I meant like signals and metrics and things, all that we have built. in this case, like we are monitoring the tunnels constantly, and then there is a state change. The services actually pick it up and then, send it to other service, reporting service, and all that good stuff is shown up on the UI. But imagine, Syed, this is what you failed, but this has actually happened in the real world, right? The availability zone has was completely gone, right? It's not like you are simulating a failure at that point. Not just that, the availability zone on which even that we were hosting our platform was also gone. Still, the customer application was absolutely functioning. The UI was reporting perfectly fine. I mean, they were able to do everything pretty much, right? It was just like, okay, one of the
Yeah.
regions is having a partial outage, right? That's about it. So that was the design principle that we kept in mind when we built the platform. And we have designed in such a way that we are fully resilient to availability zone failures.
So the expectation here, Santosh, would be that when both of the AZs are down, it'll show red here saying that
Yep.
two USCs, oh, there it is, and it's showing a red here, which means that
Yes.
both
I think now
tunnels,
both the links have gone down.
are
Yeah.
down. So what kind of failure is this? What we were trying to simulate is in an impact of both AZs and USCs two going down. Now,
This is a region failure.
I don't think we have
Yeah,
seen that. Correct me if I'm wrong, that an
we have.
entire
No,
region
no,
being impacted.
we did have, yes, we had a region impact failure too. That's
Oh,
unfortunate, but we did have a region failure completely,
wow.
and the customer was able to reroute because there are so, I mean, if you look, I mean, of course, Syed you're showing one part, but there are so many bells and whistles, and there are so many features that are built around
Mhm.
disaster recovery and resiliency in Alkira. You can do it using routing, you can do it using tunnels. There are a bunch of ways you can configure, right? I think
Mhm.
the customer had configured the backup region
Mhm.
in case where there was a entire region failover, and then backup region was just working fine, but the whole region would show up as red for him on the UI, and he wouldn't be able to make any changes in that region because the region
Mhm.
is completely busted. But he would have options to clean up that region if he choose to, and then move to a region that's working, or just continue to operate in the way. And maybe if the region comes back up and everything just goes back to its own state, right? So
But
yeah, that
now
was yeah,
in this situation, what we're seeing, Santosh, is though this data center
yes,
is down, which so customer may have an instance. I don't know how, but it's possible that they have the connectivity has impacted in
yeah,
such a way that the connectivity from here to the CXP is down, but yet the connectivity to this region is still up, right?
still up,
And
absolutely, yeah,
since that New York data center had connectivity to the same applications, right, as you were
yeah,
showing, app A and app B, right, are connected as DR. This is showing it's connected as DR. It's grayed out because it's DR to this region, but it's connected as DR to this region.
yeah,
However, there is connectivity between US Central to US East. So the
yes,
connectivity from New York data center to my app A and app B in US East is still functioning. So if I
yeah,
go back to diagnostics here and I go to flow capture, I will be able to see that the same traffic that I had, 1030.0.4, 1030.0.4, destined to 10.10.0.22, and 10.20.0.2
yeah,
is still up and functioning. So the
yeah,
traffic flow now, for the purposes of just for the audience, and just want to bring the topology back. The traffic flow now, essentially, these two have become active, right? Right. And these two have really been essentially gone, right? And this is essentially what we're showing here. These are still in a DR phase. So the traffic flow is actually going from the client, DC, down to US Central, up to US East 2, and still hitting the application. So the
yeah,
application is functioning. What we've simulated is a failure that impacted tunnel connectivity to both AZs. That could
yeah,
be anything, a misconfiguration on those two endpoints and both endpoints in both availability zones. It could
yes,
be that some service, and like you were mentioning, multi-level service was impacted in both of those AZs, but connectivity to the actual cloud services was up, right?
yeah,
So it could still be reached. right? So we've just kind of demonstrated that. The next demonstration that we'll do, we'll leave these links down, right? And but we will then basically these links or this and simulate basically this entire region
going down.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
and by the way, these things continue to happen in our continue to happen with our customers. We get alerts, we see that. So, yes, we are simulating it, but these are all real. They happen in the world. Like the data center going down, we have seen so many times the dark fiber got cut, right? Like the fiber coming in from the data center into the cloud or into the ISP was cut, and the data center just goes bloop. Right? However, the application continues to work. The customer gets a P1 saying, "Hey, DC is down," but he doesn't get so many P1 saying, "My application is down." Right? So it's phenomenal. The way this whole network that can be set up on Alkira, the way you can design the resiliency and active backup. I'm super proud of what we have built.
Yeah, appreciate it. Santosh, just to walk them through, there is this CXP failover section under management, and that is a manual trigger of DR. We've intentionally done it as a manual trigger, not automatic trigger, because what we are showing is a very drastic failure, right? It's not something you won't want to control. And that's why we don't just automatically kind of switch over. It's something that a user or network admin would look at and say, wow, both of the availability zones in a region are down. I should now trigger a move, right? So at that point, they can say, hey, I want these switching from US East to US Central CP, right? And I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick.
So, as we build Alkira solution, the whole application or the entire thing that we have built, we are responsible, or we do disaster recovery the way that you did a manual disaster recovery. We do that exercise just to make sure if anything happens, right, we are ready with the DR. I think that same principle is what we applied there. DR is like somebody has to say, okay, this is completely down and it's not going to come back and our business is going to get impacted. So you make that decision and switch over, because sometimes the region failures could be temporary. It could be for a few minutes or few hours. That probably may not warrant a DR, but the case that has happened, it clearly warrants a DR, because I don't think that region is ever going to come back unless they rebuild it, right? So the same principle was applied. The same principle we applied while building the platform and infrastructure here at Alkira. I think
they could have done this failover switchover that I showed them here.
They did
through an API as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, everything that you consume from the UI is available in the API. You just run Terraform, or you run native API, or you run your CI/CD pipeline and whatnot, right? There are enough ways to trigger this.
So just to reiterate for the users, what we've done again is in our resiliency demo environment, we went in and said we want to do a DR because my New York data center is down and this entire region is down. We want these app A and app B to move over to US Central GCP region. And for this task, to do this, we've intentionally designed it to have a user trigger a DR and they provision it as well. So right now it's going through this provisioning. And as soon as the provisioning is going to be complete, and you can see the provisioning task occurring right now, as soon as this in progress is complete. And you can even click view task to see the different provisioning that's occurring and their percentages. As soon as they are complete, what we will do is we can actually go back and see here, back to my resiliency demo environment, that this is down. And if I click on any of these are held as absent on here, is grayed out because it's in the DR phase.
Yep.
And now if I go to central, this will be coming up here soon.
Yeah. Yeah. It should take a minute. So
So
this is when
this will
the
show up, the whole environment will be up. And
correct.
I can even come back to our diagnostics and full capture and let's see when the traffic will come back up. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, this exercise everybody has to do, whoever is building platform and providing a service, right? So DR is super critical. Um, God forbid you don't have to trigger it, but be prepared to trigger it if required. And this is the right way to do it, right? So the decision has to be made. Once the decision is done that you have to do a DR, then you trigger it, and the DR should happen automatically. Just the trigger has to be a manual decision, right? Otherwise, you might get into like a lot of ping pong flip flop kind of a situations.
Yes.
So yeah,
Those,
once
those,
you
those,
do a DR, then you are completely cut over, and then that region becomes primary, and you operate until you choose to go back to the previous region.
exactly.
Yeah.
The level of controls that we're talking about here, and the type of failures we're talking about here are pretty catastrophic. So at this
Yes.
level, you're talking about 4+ failures, I would say, right? Because
Yeah.
you have those two connectivity to AZs in one data center and one in AWS, and then you have connectivity to the cloud, which is also going down, where you need to now switch over to a completely different even CSP. You have to move over to like a GCP POP of yours, for example, in this case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
having that available to customers is just, I mean, very, very disruptive.
Yes. Yes. I agree. Yeah. That was a fantastic demo, Syed. And the principles that we have built have actually come from the practice that we do at Alkira as part of building our infrastructure itself. So every layer, every piece that we build it in such a way that it is resilient, it is redundant, and there is a DR story for every piece that we are putting into the system, right? Be it our data plane or a control plane or a management plane, anything, be it a new cloud if we are trying to explore and bring up our CXPs, a new region. We always look for these things, and it's super important for us that we have all these available to our developers first, so that they are writing Alkira application that can do the same thing for our customers, right? So yeah, whatever you did is whatever I tell the team that, okay, we need to have all these capabilities built so that our developers are able to write the applications in such a way, right? So,
I mean, would you say so the approach we took to building our platform is take advantage of the hyperscale infrastructure, but make it also agnostic, so
correct.
our
Yeah,
platform can stretch across multiple CSPs.
absolutely. Yes. I mean, we like like I said, right? This itself is power. The diagram itself is powerful because you are showing AWS and GCP, which means our platform is able to run on both AWS and GCP. That means we have built the platform hyperscaler agnostic. However, we still have to use some native constructs that they provide because you cannot completely escape from it, right? You do have to, but you don't tie yourself too much into all the native constructs, right? Tomorrow, if you want to support a new cloud, it becomes easy for us to roll out. New region, easy. And you know what? Sometimes we have noticed that not all regions are built alike in a cloud provider, right? So some regions do not have all the capabilities that other regions have. They do like a
Yes.
phased rollouts, right? So you might find one service available in one region, and that service is not present in the other region. So you rely on that service, and then you start rolling out your infra, and then you figure out, oh shoot, it's not there. Then it's not a good situation to be in. So we try to use as little as possible, but we still want to take advantage of what hyperscalers provide. So it's a fine balance. You gotta constantly keep an eye on for that, and then yeah.
But when I talk to customers, I'm always telling them as you approach and move your workloads from your on-prem to cloud, even if you're going to be in a single cloud,
Yeah.
try your best not to be tied down to any proprietary services if
Yeah.
you can. So if there is an A, or if there is a need to stretch across, or the hyperscaler decides to compete with your business, whichever
Yeah.
it may be, your core applications are not tied down. So even when you're approaching the cloud from an application standpoint, if you can make it less agnostic. And with Alkira,
Yeah.
at least the networking plumbing can be agnostic.
Yes.
We'll start with
Perfect.
that,
Yeah.
right? The plumbing to
Exactly.
those services, it's about being able to have a network that you can build, not relying on hardware, not relying on hop by hop configuration, no capacity planning required. You can deploy a global network and then tell your business, okay, where's your application? I don't care what it is, just connect it to me.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, and having all these capabilities that you just demonstrated, I mean, those should be like absolute must for any application that is getting into anywhere, right? So make sure that anytime you deploy an application in AWS, assume that there could be a potential chance that you may not be able to, I mean, that may not be available for whatever reason, which we have seen, right? So DR capabilities, resiliency, right? Resiliency, you can break it down per tunnel, or there are several ways. And we also have so many options that can fit with wide variety of customer use cases and provide all these capabilities. I think there should be like check marks or important things when somebody is evaluating a platform. Like even today, if I have to bring in a tool for our team, I have certain conditions. And one of the things is, can I do a skim, for example, right? Can I do automatic user provisioning, just in time access, some things like that. So those are certain things that I tell the team that unless you have that capability, don't even bring that tool in, right? In the same fashion, you are using cloud, you're building out networks, make sure all these are available before you even start on the journey. Or if you're already in there and if you're looking for something, make sure that you look for these things, right? Don't keep DR as an afterthought. It is going to happen one day or the other. That's what my experience has said. I mean, I was like, come on, when is the DR happening? But I had to do it in production, so don't keep it an afterthought. Do it as a practice. Even resiliency, always do it as a practice. Do it frequently if possible, as frequently as possible. Don't have to be doing like every month or so, but like have frequency. Test it out. Make sure you are ready. And and yeah, if you are looking for a network that can help you with all that, then yeah, check out Alkira. We can help with all these things. Yeah.
That's a great ending. Santosh, if people want to contact us,
Yeah.
there's plenty of free parking on our website.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Syed.